Previously on Legends of Aelos. After Dom's speech, he turns from the balcony and heads to rejoin his father and friends. Considering the monumental impact the ennoblement of Dominicus has had, along with the close-knit relationship the party has developed, the king agrees that it is only fit for them to now reside within the walls of the keep. With the plan to relocate to the keep in place, the group continues away from the king's balcony. Along the way, Dominicus calls upon a guard, Tavian, to assist him with the project, and sends the young soldier off to the craftsman that can facilitate the order that is outlaid in his scroll Dom hands him, along with some gold, despite the guard insisting that it's not necessary for a prince to pay. Still, Dom hands it over, as he is not particularly familiar nor interested in the typical nuance of princely behavior and entitlement. The five then sit down with the king and his family to a proper feast. During their meal, King Catanius inquires as to the events between Asher and Aiden Asterion, to which Corun informs that there is more to be gathered, especially after considering the confirmation from Aiden himself that he and his sister had Mother Catherine both agreed Aiden's death was necessary for Asher's well-being, elaborating further upon the notion that Asher apparently had undergone a nefarious change since meeting her. The king is unfortunately not familiar enough with Asher to speak of his character, but due to the gravity of the situation, the actions of some, and the uncertainty of presented facts, the king elects to have the siblings investigated, and furthermore elects to set Jathril as interim headmaster of the Order of Heroes, whom the party wholeheartedly endorse. With the matter of the suspected corruption within the Order and Temple being looked into, the conversation turns to another, this one in regard to Mother Raven, and the chalice now in the king's possession. While Dom states that the party does hold her in the highest opinion of the three, they are still not sure just what to expect of the Ravens. He conveys the desire to learn as much as possible about them, to which Asher confers. The king, trusting in his son and his companions, grants that he will have Kazrak look into the matter and will support them to the utmost, including giving them the chalice after quaffing what remained in its cup. The group finish their meal as Jathril answers his summons to an unexpected promotion. The king excuses himself to tend to the matter while the party members go about their business, with Rowan and Asher departing for the cantankerous tankard to collect their belongings to bring to the keep. They collect the equipment, and as they check out, Rowan is given a bundle of mail to catch up on, along with a coin, a symbol of the carrier services that will make postal communication significantly more efficient. They depart for the keep along with Martizan, who had still been plying his bardic skills in the tavern. The three return to the keep, going through inspection, though they're noticeably less thorough with their bookkeeping. Along with them, Tavian returns to the keep, holding the package of Dom's request. They reunite with Dominicus and Corun, whom are still awaiting an audience with Kazrak. Tavian provides Dom the package containing his order, and Dom insists on the guard keeping some of the coin he had provided, despite Tavian's insistence still that he is royal and need not. After Tavian departs, Dom and Corun meet with Kazrak to discuss the information the sage has gleaned. The mage goes on to explain how the occurrence of the ravens in history is relatively recent, and that they were a powerful force that clashed with another powerful, dark entity known as Gehendra. Gehendra managed to fracture the raven into multiple forms before the Neramine of the past succeeded in sealing away Gehendra. These forms are most likely the entities of the raven, Mother included, that are mentioned in the text Kazrak sourced from. He does mention that though the fragments of the raven were splintered to keep them at odds with itself, the full raven entity was motivated to put a stop to Gehendra's machinations, bolstering the opinion of Mother Raven, at the very least. While Dom and Corun are off to speak with Kazrak, Rowan and Asher continue to deposit the party's effects in their new quarters, which Martizan is now informed of, very much to his elated surprise. Corun and Dominicus rejoin them there, as Rowan starts to go through the mail he had received, sharing anything that isn't too private, of course. Meanwhile, Briar is about with Coel, seeking out the various lesser-known passages, along with spending some quality time with the princess. Amongst their affectionate banter, Coel points out how there is a smuggler's passage, including whereabouts the smugglers themselves will outlet into the market from the castle keep. Eventually, Briar returns to the rest of the party, Coel departs, and the group partake of the pastries that Briar had returned with, as Karun recalls the information that Kazrak had relayed to him and Dom. The remainder of the night is spent with the party unwinding from the day and conversing of their next steps, perhaps setting north towards Rowan's homeland, all things that could change depended upon what the text Kazrak provided informed them about the grander powers of the world. One thing for certain is that if they do not take action to summon Mother Raven now, there is a likely chance that she could already be aware and approach the party sooner rather than later. Before retiring for the evening, Asher makes a point to communicate with Coria, with the Five's intended plans to head north to Herringdean, along with the development of the war in the south heading north and east from Riverend. Rowan's hometown would likely be one of the safest options for her. After the party is asleep, Asher has another vision, the dreamscape, a field of flowers much like the one he and Rowan had experienced, and his deity appears once more. However, she says nothing this time, only caressing his beard as she cups his head. She leans in and puts her forehead against his, and tears drip onto Asher's face before he is awoken. Now, early morning, Asher's describing the odd nature of the dream to Dom and the others when there's a knock at the door. The guard at it is there to summon Dom to meet with the king, while the remainder of the party is summoned to breakfast. Dom enters the chambers where the king and queen are, making note of how populated the castle appears to be this morning. The queen thanks Dominicus for coming and begins to speak about how much has transpired in a very short period of time. The revelation of Dominicus and his affirmation as a prince born between two nations. She turns to her husband as she recalls moments at the beginning of their life together and how she loves him dearly. As a cart containing Dominicus's equipment is brought in, the queen conveys to Dominicus her thanks for all the good he has done and states that it is a shame for all of it to have amounted to him committing this heinous act, as an elite guard picks up Grizzy's crossbow and launches a fatal bolt into the throat of King Cantonius. Dom immediately tries to intervene, his rage boiling at the slaying and thought of him to be blamed for it, but there are far too many guardsmen for him to attempt to fight. Escape is his only means. Unfortunately, the door leading out is securely locked, and as the guards carry out the grisly biddings of the queen, all that Dominicus can muster before the light fades from his eyes is a shout to Rowan. Back in the dining hall, guards begin to file in and state that the fated five are to be arrested. As Rowan hears Dominicus's desperate plea, Briar uses her magic to warp out of the room, the ever-lingering fear of action from the temple as the party attempt to process what is happening, not yet aware that the five are now -1. And it is from here we shall continue the story of the Legends of Aelos.